Let's go into to that video about the Fed with the unlimited money. Yeah, that one.
Monday, the Fed dropped interest rates nearly to zero. Then, every day last week, it announced emergency lending programs. It pledged to spend at least $700 billion supporting mortgages, banks, money market mutual funds, corporate bonds, and lending to central banks of other countries, because the dollar is the currency of world trade.
We are being very aggressive, and I think our chairman, Jay Powell, has learned from the experience of 2008. We're moving much faster than we moved in 2008. We're being more aggressive. Is there more we can do? Yes. Is there more we may end up doing? Yes. But I think we're being very aggressive, and I think that's the right thing.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no...
Go back to me. Is my mic on here? It is, right? Flooding the market with money. But for you, no. Swift and aggressive for you, no. For the corporations, for the banks. Go ahead.
No end to your ability to do that.
There is no end to our ability to do that.
What did we learn from 2008 when you were in the Treasury Department, and how is that being applied today?
There are two big mistakes when I look back at 2008 that we made that I think are relevant today. Number one, we were always too slow and too timid in responding to the crisis. The reason is we didn't know how bad it was going to get, and we didn't want to overreact. And it turned out it got really, really bad. And the right answer should have been overreacting to try to avoid the devastating recession that we ended up happening. So today, whether it's healthcare policymakers, fiscal policymakers, which means Congress, or the Federal Reserve, we should all be erring on the side of overreacting to try to avoid the worst economic outcome.
Pause it. So sending everyone only $1,200, that's doing it right now, right? Like that's overreacting and taking it to the extreme. Having a separate bill that fast tracks the economic resources that American families need while they're out of work, that didn't happen. That was the answer. That's quickly, that's aggressively, that's doing whatever it takes. Unlimited resources. But we don't have that, right? We can't do that for us, but we can do it for corporations and banks, right?
And number two, in 2008, we tried to be very targeted in helping homeowners, only helping homeowners who needed a little bit of help, because a lot of Americans were angry at the thought of their neighbor getting a bailout for being irresponsible, or so they thought. So we tried to target our programs. It ended up we didn't help very many people. We would have been much better off if we had been much more generous in our support for homeowners, deserving and not deserving. We would have had a less serious crisis. So my advice to Congress, as they're designing their programs to help workers and help small businesses, err on being generous.
This past
Err on being generous. Do you feel like generosity is on its way? You feel like when you get that fat $1,200 check, that fat one-time $1,200 check, you feel like that you're gonna sleep really good at night and just everything's gonna be fine? Probably not, right?